Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Ari, and today we're going to have some more stories about our toxic life. But before we start, it would be so much appreciated if you would subscribe to my channel, like the video, if you enjoy it, and maybe leave a comment down below. These simple clicks would mean a lot to the future of this channel and really reward the effort that I put in every day. And now without further ado, let's go. Today's first story. In this story, Opie met his girlfriend online, initially hesitant due to distrust. Over 2 years, they bonded over skiing, but his trust was shattered when he overheard her scheming with a friend to use him in a bet. Despite her remorse, he ended the relationship, rejecting her attempts to reconcile. He hopes his story inspires others to resist toxic relationships and stand firm against manipulation. Now let's get into the story. I am 24, met my girlfriend 20 online. She had lots of friends and a lot of different hobbies and talents. I was hesitant, with good reason to trust her. A little voice in my head told me that she would lie to anyone if she could get what she wanted. I dated her because I wanted her to prove that voice wrong. I didn't know who she was, so if anything, it was wrong of me to judge her. She fell for me fast. I was just honest with her, and her favorite thing to do together was skiing. We were extremely competitive. She'd been skiing since she was 8, and I'd been since I was 3. During the 2 years we dated, she met my closest skiing friends. All the friends I had were skiers. One of these was Mark. We weren't very close, but we did have some good laughs together, so I trusted him as part of the group. One day, I was one of the last ones on the slope. When I got inside the lodge, Mark and this one other guy I didn't recognize were talking in hushed voices with my girlfriend. I approached, and they became silent. She was facing away, so she didn't realize I was there. I heard her say, "We'll see who gets the prize." I asked what they were talking about, and she was startled. I was standing behind her. She just stammered and looked to the 2 boys for help up. Mark finally said they made a skiing wager amongst themselves. I asked what the prize was, and I swore I saw my girlfriend. Panic, she looked to Mark for the answer. He sat back confidently and said, "My girlfriend just bet $100 of my money that she would win the race against them." I was surprised she so confidently bet my money. But I was sure she could win, so I told them I backed it up. Mikey and the guy named Sal loved this. My girlfriend looked nervous. I told her not to worry about it because she was really good. When I said that, she just looked worse. The next day at the top of the hill, I wished her luck. I followed behind them even though I was not part of the race. She did extremely well, but Mark won. I congratulated him and paid him $100 right away. Then I went to kiss my girlfriend to assure her she did well, but she pulled away from me. She said she didn't deserve my kisses and started to tear up. I asked why she felt so bad, and Mark said it was because she was his prize for winning. My money was just a bonus he thought of at the last minute, but she was the prize for whoever won. I got up in his face and asked what he was talking about. He told me to ask her because it was all her idea. She wouldn't look at me, but she didn't deny it. I just left for the ski lodge, which was where they went to. She didn't care that I gave her a ride to the mountain today. She didn't care that now I was seeing her go home with Mark. It was the worst feeling ever. I forgot about the $100 for a while and didn't go skiing either. For 20 days, I only lived for my dog. Of course, my parents called me and I told them what was going on. It helped a little, but not very much. On the 21st day, my ex showed up at my door. Obviously, we were over at this point. She had $300 wrapped in a bow held out in her hand, and she opened her robe to reveal other things wrapped in the house. She said she needed to be with me. That's all she got to say before I grabbed the money out of her hand and slammed the door. I'm sure it was the first time she was ever denied by a man. She tried texting me a few hours later, so I took the time to tell her she needed to learn a lesson. That being that she can't just do whatever she feels like and expect things to work out in her favor. She shouldn't be able to cheat on me, ghost me for 20 days, and then receive forgiveness so I would never speak to her again. I still haven't. And I hope this story gives people the strength to resist taking back or staying with a bad woman. Today's second story. In this story, after a whirlwind romance and marriage, a man's trust in his wife shatters when he discovers her infidelity. Seeking revenge, he orchestrates a humiliating reveal of her affair during their baby shower, leading to their divorce. Later, he learns she was unfaithful even before their marriage. Despite initial satisfaction, he reflects on the reality of their love and her difficult circumstances post-divorce. Now let's get into the story. My wife and I got married 3 years ago. It was love at first sight. She was the girl of my dreams. We started dating and were so in love that everything seemed unreal. Fast forward a few months. I proposed to her and we married. I was head over heels in love with her, and our life seemed perfect until I was promoted. We were super excited because we could afford a better lifestyle, but we knew a long-distance relationship would be hard. I was promoted to a senior position at work and had to move to California for a few months. I asked my wife to come along, but she insisted on staying in New York. As she had worked here, I understood her career was as important as mine, so I didn't force her. My wife was fond of flowers, and I brought fresh flowers daily to put in the kitchen. When I moved to California, I had an idea to make her feel special. I decided to send her flowers every day. I contacted the florist shop I used to buy the flowers from and ordered flowers for her. I instructed him to deliver her flowers every morning. The first day when the flowers were delivered, my wife FaceTimed me. She was overjoyed. I was relieved to see her happy. I sent her different flowers every day. In the beginning, we used to text all day, but slowly she started getting busier. I understood that she might be busy at work. Still, we FaceTimed every day. I got a week off from work because it was our anniversary, booked a flight, and came to New York. I couldn't wait to see her. When I came home, I expected my wife to be happy, but she seemed irritated. When I asked if everything was okay, she told me that work had been challenging. Recently, I tried to calm her down, but she brushed me off. That night she slept early. It was our first night after months, and I was looking forward to some intimacy. I was a bit upset, but I thought that she might need a little space as she is struggling with work. I was getting bored, so I decided to watch some television. I couldn't find the remote, so I checked her drawer. I was shocked to see that there were condoms in her drawer. My wife suddenly woke up, saw the condoms in my hand, and her face turned pale. She said that she planned a surprise for me. This is why she got condoms beforehand. But she was a little tired, so she slept. I wasn't suspicious, but a little fused as the condoms weren't my size and we weren't using protection for a few years. My wife suddenly started touching me seductively and we had intimate that night. I forgot about the whole condom thing. The next day, my wife was again a bit irritated. She kept her distance from me. I wanted to do something exciting for our anniversary, so I took her to watch her favorite movie and then went to dinner. I then took her to the florist shop. She started acting weird. When we came to the shop, I told her that she could buy any flowers she wanted. She told the florist that John could make a bouquet of baby breaths and roses. It was a bit weird that my wife knew the florist's name because she said that she never came here. This thing was itching me at the back of my head. When we drove home, I finally asked her how she knew his name, even though she had never visited his shop. My wife was hesitant before speaking, which made me a little suspicious. She said that one day John came to deliver the flowers. This is how she knows his name. I believed her because there was nothing suspicious about this. The next morning when I woke up, my wife had already left for work. I decided to do the home chores today as she worked hard. I did all the dishes, made lunch for us, and then went to do laundry. There was a lot of laundry piled up. My wife has never been the person who liked doing home chores. I started picking up everything and tossed it in the washing machine when suddenly an underwear fell on my feet. I wondered what my underwear was doing in the laundry as I picked it up, but I was shocked to see it wasn't my underwear. It was an XXL while I wore a large. It all made sense right now. The XL-sized condoms and XXL underwear. Someone else has been in my house. At first, I thought I should ask my wife what was happening. But then I realized that she would lie and come up with another explanation. So I decided to catch her red-handed. My wife came back home in a good mood. I played along with her. We made love that night. The next morning, my wife went back to work. I went to a tech shop and bought a tiny camera. I placed the camera on the bookshelf because I knew she wouldn't notice it. I then connected the camera to my phone. I went back to California. When I arrived at my apartment, I checked my phone and was shocked to see that my wife was having intimate with a man in our bedroom. It had hardly been 12 hours and she was already with another man. It made me furious. I was fuming with anger. The guy's face came into view, and I was shocked to see that it was the florist John. My wife was fucking the man I hired to send her flowers for months. I couldn't take it anymore, and I didn't want a confession. I wanted revenge. A few weeks passed, and I was still plotting what to do when I logged into the app to see what my wife was doing. I saw her coming out of them with something in her hand. I couldn't see what it was. She sat on the bed, and I saw what was in her hand. It was a pregnancy strip. She began to cry, and my heart thudded to know what it was. We had been suffering to get pregnant for years now. I suddenly realized that I had given some fertility tests, and the results were to be emailed, and between my wife's cheating drama, I forgot about my tests. I quickly opened my email and checked the report. My heart skipped a beat when I read it. The report said that I was infertile and could never have babies. I wondered what the test said. Is she crying because she isn't pregnant? Or is she crying because she is? I was confused. I opened the app again and saw her talking to someone over the phone. She began shouting and threw her phone away. She fell on the floor, crying. A few days passed, and I kept checking what she was doing. John didn't visit her again. It was clear now that they had broken up in a couple of days. I got a call from my wife. She sounded so excited and said that she had good news for me, knew exactly what she was going to say. She told me she was pregnant. I was going to confront her, but I had an idea. I knew exactly what my revenge would be. I told her she no longer needed to work and should rest at home. She wanted to come to California, but I convinced her that it was important for her to be with family. I kept paying her for her expenses and bills from her joint account and took out all my money from it. I was paying her with her own money and she didn't notice. The second trimester passed and it was time for my revenge. I went to New York for the baby shower. After the gender of the baby was revealed by my sister-in-law, I told everyone that I had a surprise video for everyone. Everybody gathered and I switched on the projector. Everyone gasped as soon as the video turned on and my wife's moans filled the room. Now everybody could see how she cheated on me. My wife's face went pale. Before she could say anything, I threw my fertility report in her face. Her eyes popped out as she read the report. I told her that it wasn't clearly my baby and I had filed for divorce. My wife pleaded with me not to leave. She cried about how sorry she was, but I didn't listen to a word she said. My revenge was complete. She couldn't abort the baby now. Everybody knew that she was a cheater. She left her job and she had no money in her joint account. The rage in me finally cooled down after months. I have taught my cheating wife a lesson that she will never forget. I finally moved back to New York. One day, my sister-in-law, Lizzie, came to my place. I thought that she had come to convince me to forgive her sister, but I was shocked by what she told me. My sister-in-law said to me that my wife had been cheating on me before we married. She confessed that she saw my wife flirting with one of my groomsmen during the wedding. She didn't tell me this before because she was scared and because she thought I wouldn't believe her. I was devastated. I doubted if our love was ever real. Lizzie told me that my wife worked 2 jobs to make ends meet, but because she was pregnant, she couldn't go to work regularly and was fired. She had no money on her and was broke. My ex-wife is now living in a crappy apartment doing 2 jobs a day to take care of the baby. At the end of the day, I am glad she's no longer my problem and have since moved on even though it is hard.